Set 2 of Fusion World Blazing Aura is looking to make the game incredibly faster, while also making it harder to control boards. Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, Espira, and we're back with a discussion video about Fusion World, breaking down Set 2 and some of the concepts in regards to what we'll likely be seeing when it comes to the shifts in the meta and how people are going to be playing. My biggest revelation as we're getting more reveals, and for what it's worth, we don't even have half the set if I recall. Odds are we're going to be getting a big dump of cards soon enough. The current set 1 meta has this big push and pull of making sure you essentially curve out. Playing your 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop is very important. And then the balancing act of that being that removal is incredibly good on your top end to be able to combat some of that. A lot of that is concentrated on green, and a big frustration point is naturally if green ends up getting into a top end, it's 17, 18s, it's Broly, so on and so forth, then the removal comes really cleanly for those decks and pushes as a comeback mechanic. The meta is likely to push a good amount of green out if we don't see too many changes, specifically though with the tools that they're getting in set 2. 1, in being able to establish boards more quickly, and then 2, making sure that those boards stick around. And there are a lot of cards spread across all the colors that really push this narrative. Immediately looking, we've got blue, and they're really leaning on the fact that Zamasu is immortal with that and giving us multiple cards that allow us to dodge or work around removal. 2-drop Zamasu here has got the permanent, this card can't be removed from your battle by your opponent's skills, so that's disruption abilities, that's bottom decking abilities. Essentially anything that's not negging the card down to 0, this card is protected. Then they lean pretty hard into the Zamasu being immortal thing by also giving us this 4-drop Fuse Zamasu with a, when KO'd, play this card from your drop in rest mode, and then you can't play Fuse Zamasu for the turn. While it's not permanently on the board, it does come back and you have to destroy it a second time to be able to permanently keep it off the board. Again, making it more sticky. It's not only a blue thing, and it's not only a Zamasu thing though, because if we shift over to red, we've got 3-drop Android 17 with the permanent if your leader is awakened, which by 3 in red, you almost always will be whenever you're trying to play this, odds are. This card can't be KO'd by the skills of your opponent's battle cards that specifically KO. So that's thing like Golden Death Beam. In green, it's like everything in green. And then sometimes in red, because even though they're mostly the negging color, we do have some KO abilities like the 3-drop Goku SR from set 1. But of course, we can't forget about yellow, which also has this 3-drop Vegeta 20k permanent. Opponent's turn, all of your rest mode battle cards can't be KO'd by your opponent's skills. And then finally in green, even though not in the same manner as the rest of the colors, because obviously it's the ramp go big color, it also has Senzu Bean to push a little longevity, which oftentimes you'll use on your leader, but you can also use on your battle cards to make it harder for your opponent to deal with them. So in general, cards are becoming harder to remove, which is going to create a very clear shift in the meta when we consider that right now a lot of the best things that decks are doing things like playing 3-drop Goku or playing 8-drop Broly, 17, 18, and the fact that the impact those cards will have will clearly change the lines of what people are able to play, because especially for green, a big reason the deck is even able to be real is because it can come back by having major board clears via the multitude of its removal effects. So not only is the stickiness of boards going to be something that will permanently change the way we play the game going into set 2, but the propagation of even more free play cards is going to push that even further. Before we break those down though, I do want to give a quick shout out to A-Drive and the Illustrials team. They have invited me to jump on with them on stream this Sunday to open up some packs of a reprint Legends of the Blue Eyes White Dragon set alongside a prototype base set of Illustrial. So a lot of really exciting hits with a ton of other Yu-Gi-Oh creators. So if you guys want to go there and watch myself as well as everyone else enjoy and have a good time opening packs, I welcome you to join me over on Sunday. Should make for an awesome time. Links to everything will be in the description and down in the comments. Naturally, we know the power of being able to establish wide boards quickly. It's one of the big reasons why Frieza and Cooler are able to be good contenders in the meta when you consider that they have really good go tall strategies in the form of Golden Frieza, Cooler, and 4-drop Frieza, but additionally have some of the easiest ways to spread wide boards if they need to be aggressive with the Ginyu package, while almost exclusively something that yellow is capable of doing, both on the top end with like the Mega Frieza stuff and on the low end with the Ginyu stuff. We now see that push into the other colors. Android 17 here is a really cool card, is a really sticky card, is even better when you consider how he combos with Kefla. Kefla is a 4-cost 20k, which allows it to be played 4-1 in top coup, and then has an on play where you get to draw a card, thus replacing the discard from the top leader. And then you get to play 1 battle card with cost of 3 or less in tournament power and its special traits, which also includes the Android 17. So now you have the ability in red to not only get a 25k attacker that draws a card, but additionally dish out a battle card that gives your leader a 5k, and that card can't be removed by skills. So you're having the 1-2 punch of being able to go wide quickly while also having a board that's harder to deal with. And that puts a lot of pressure on how currently the game is played, especially since you consider that Kefla is good as a 4-drop. This is a fantastic 4-drop play and is just even better for 1 energy in Top Coup. Naturally, we can't be letting red have all the fun, even though I think red's going to be crazy. But we've also got not the same kind of go wide that red and yellow are able to produce, but something similar in the sense of Android 17 and 18, which is actually a new card revealed this week. We'll be going over it a little bit further in my reveals video later, but is a 4-drop 20k, 10k combo, fantastic stats. Android 17 and 18, which is really good when you consider the search capabilities of both those Androids. And as an on play, place 2 cards from your energy in your drop. And then if your leader is an Android 17, add up to 3 cards with Android in their special traits from your drop to your energy, effectively making this a 1-cost 20k that also ramped you by 1, which is so strong. And of course, leans into green's ability to be able to produce more plays on the mid-range. It costs a lot upfront, but gives you a lot of that in a refund that allows you to extend your plays, especially when you consider that Android 17 is one of the mid-ranger green decks and does actually lean into the capabilities of being able to play Android 18s and other Androids, because you got to play them to be able to play your other Android stuff anyways. Thus, again, even leaning into the capabilities of giving colors more ways to be able to play on a wider spectrum. And I don't think we're done yet. I think we're going to see many more cards kind of lean into this direction. And then the question from there is like, all right, so not only do we have stickier boards that are protected from removal, but we're also really leaning into the capability of being able to deploy 2-3 battle cards a turn now, as opposed to very much playing our 2-drop on 2, 3-drop on 3, 4-drop on 4, which is very much a staple of the set 1 meta. And if that's the case, then the question becomes, where do we go from here? It's really hard to say without having the full context of set 2. There's a lot of cards that we haven't seen that maybe do make it easier to get the removal off. But when we understand the thematics that green is a KO color, yellow is a KO color when it gets to destroy cards, even though usually it'll try and keep them in rest mode instead. And then red will incidentally KO from time to time, even though it looks like they're still getting really powerful net cards, so that may not matter as much for them. And then blue kind of does its own thing, which is nice that blue at least has the advantage that all this battle protection is something that it can actually play around for the most part, besides the 2-drop Zamasu. Overall, I think this means shifts into being more combat reliant. If you are not the aggro deck in the matchup, I think you're putting yourself in a position where you just need to attack into battle cards more often. We were probably doing that anyways, but oftentimes if the numbers didn't line up right, it always felt better to sometimes just ignore the board, go into the opponent's leader and hope that you can outrace them on that front. So not being able to lean on destruction abilities as much does provide a lot of opportunity for decision making to make a big difference on whether you're going to live to see another day. But naturally, with the advent of having more free-to-play cards, more wider established boards being able to be made easier, the question then becomes, if I spend so much time focusing on clearing board just for my opponent's next turn to be able to reestablish another one, am I really making progress? And that's going to be the interesting question, in my opinion, to solve in set 2. Because while I do think that set 2 is an extension of set 1, a lot of the themes, the cards, what things are trying to do are very much set 1 like, and just kind of pushing that further. I'm very excited to see how the mix up of new cards means that we're going to be changing up our builds and changing up how we play. I'm excited to be able to play more of a Go Rush red deck. I'm excited to be able to play a bit more lower to the ground green, and honestly, just Android 17 and 18 by itself makes Android 17 so much more appealing to me, and a mid-ranger green deck, as opposed to really leaning in on going into your 6, 7, and 8 over and over game after game, sounds really exciting. But if anything, just the new cards we've seen until now will guarantee a shift in the game, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it plays out. You guys should let me know, though, if I'm completely wrong, because, hey, maybe green go big with Cell and all that stuff is actually just good enough to be able to say none of this will matter, but I'm a big believer that a lot of the tools the other colors are getting are going to be making it very tough for green to be able to compete on the same level, and we're going to see things change. Nevertheless, we've got a lot of reveals to go through stills, so we're going to see how much of an impact that can make.